Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Knicks Daily here. Today we're going to be discussing the center position. Some news came out yesterday according to Ian Begley that the Knicks are still in contact with Presta Achiuwa on a new deal, and he also reported that the Knicks are showing interest in trading for a veteran center that's on a pretty, I'm not going to say steep contract, wouldn't be the right way to phrase it, but a contract that is around 20 to 22.5-ish million for the season, whether that be with 1 year or 2 years left. The issue with that is in order for the Knicks to make a move, they would have to trade Devo or Hart or Randall, and obviously that's not happening. So how are the Knicks going to be able to afford a center that's making that type of money? Do they put Mitchell Robinson in it? Do they put Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride in it? But to that point, I mean, yeah, we sure as hell better be getting a Karl-Anthony Towns type of player if we're trading away Mitch and Deuce, because that's our starting center, and that's probably Brunson's obviously our highest valued contract after what he just agreed to, but outside of him, it's McBride. The guy's making like $6 million a year, so the Knicks have to be very careful. I think the best move for the franchise is still going and getting Nick Richards. I get it's not a sexy move. I get he's pretty mid, but I'd rather go out and get a mid backup center than to trade any of our players right now, right? Because let's be real here, if we get Nick Richards, it's not going to be that much worse than Isaiah Hartenstein, right? Hartenstein was amazing and I do miss him, but Richards is a guy who can go out there and block a shot a game. He can grab 8 boards, he can score 8 points. That's really all we need. We don't need to ask for too much. Let's talk about the options. There's really 4 options we're going to talk about. We're no longer talking about Jalen Duren. We're not talking about Walker Kessler because it's just not realistic. But what I could see happening is trading for Brook Lopez, Clint Capella, just simply re-signing Precious, or going and getting Nick Richards. I think it's going to come down to those 4. So let's start off with Brook Lopez, because to me, he's the most intriguing. I mean, Brook Lopez is a guy who can shoot the 3 ball. He's an all-NBA level defender. He's played in 78 or more games each of the last 2 seasons, which means that he's durable, he's available, and that's a big thing for the Knicks, especially after last season when guys were dropping like flies. So in 30.5 minutes per game, Lopez scored 12.5 points. He grabbed 5.2 rebounds, he had 1.6 assists, and he blocked 2.4 shots per game. I mean, those numbers, if the Knicks got that at the center position, I think they would be unstoppable. I think they'd be a 60 to 64 win team, which sounds crazy, but again, if Brook Lopez was starting center for the Knicks next to Brunson, next to Bridges and Randall, and Josh Hart and Devo and McBride, I mean, are you kidding me? That would be literally the best case scenario. You can also stretch the floor. It would give us a 5-out type of offense that would match us up well with the Boston Celtics. Lopez will be making $23 million next season at 36 years old, but he's still a very valuable asset. And again, if the Knicks win a championship with Lopez, nobody's going to be complaining. They're not going to say, oh my God, Brook Lopez is 36, man. Damn it. No, they're going to be saying, okay, yeah, he's a little bit older, but we just won a championship. That's all that matters. So the Knicks are all in right now. So it doesn't matter if you're 36, if you're 26. You have to be the best possible option for the Knicks, not just from a talent perspective, but from a durability perspective. Because if anyone in the Knicks starting lineup gets injured, I mean, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage. Because again, it's going to be Brunson at the 1, as my phone drops. It's going to be Mikal Bridges at the 2, and then it's going to be at the 3 OG, at the 4 Randall, and at the 5 the center. So if any of those guys get injured, even if it were Mitchell Robinson, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage. I think the Knicks could still win a championship if Mitch gets hurt, assuming that, again, they bring in a guy like a Nick Richards. They bring back Precious, which is why flexibility is so important, because, yeah, okay, all your main guys are paid, but how do you fill it out, right? I mean, Kevin Durant at one point took $10 million less with the Warriors to bring back Iggy and Livingston. If he doesn't do that, who knows what happens at that point? Like, that's very important. So Brunson obviously turned down a lot more than just $10 million. But yeah, so Brook Lopez to me would be an awesome addition. The issue here is that Mitch makes about $10 million less than Lopez, and I don't know how we could bring in Lopez without giving up Mitch, because we're not trading Devo or Hart or Randall. So I feel like we kind of have to trade Mitch. I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, let's give them a protected first, or just an unprotected. We don't even have an unprotected first because we traded them all to Brooklyn, but we could give them a protected first round pick. We could maybe do a swap or something, but at the end of the day, I mean, are the Knicks gonna do that? They can't do that. I mean, yeah, I would trade a protected first for straight up for Brook Lopez, but we can't afford to do that. We'd have to put Mitch in there, and I'm not trading Mitch in a pick for a 36-year-old center. So this is my issue with Brook Lopez. It's been talked about, though, so I'll continue to talk about it. A lot of people do want the Knicks to trade for Lopez, and I don't mean just fans. I mean people that are covering the Knicks. Clint Capella, to me, is more realistic. The thing is he's 30, and he's making 22.3 million. It's expiring though, so yeah, because he's 6 years younger, because he's expiring, it would be easier to go get him. Capella also averaged 12, 11 and 5 offensive rebounds per game. I did round up. I didn't round up with Lopez, but yeah, he played in more than 70 games the past 3 seasons, actually 2 of the last 3 seasons, so the durability's there. I covered Clint Capella when he was a Rocket, so I know a lot about him, and I do have my concerns with Capella, but he does everything what the Knicks want out of a big. He rebounds the basketball, he protects the rim, and he can catch lobs. So yeah, he would literally be the perfect fit to the Knicks because he limited opponents to shooting 59% at the rim, which is 5 percentage points lower than the typical average that they shoot. So he had his best field goal percentage and the biggest differential of any high-minute Hawk player last season. He was dealing with knee, Achilles, and calf injuries. Capella was just not, like I said, not healthy, and he played extremely well. The Hawks were a bad defensive team, but when Capella was out there, they were so much better. And yeah, but like again, who are the Knicks gonna trade for Capella? You know, Randall, Brunson, Bridges. You know, would I trade Mitchell Robinson for Clint Capella? To be honest with you guys, this is the thing: is Capella's safer, but Mitchell Robinson gives you more upside. So it's essentially, do you want the floor or do you want the ceiling? And to this point, maybe the floor is the best option because the Knicks have the Nova boys and they've got OG and they just need somebody that can play center. But also it's like, if Mitchell Robinson does stay healthy, I mean, the Knicks are going to get a guy who's going to average probably 2.5 to 3 blocks a game. He's going to grab 10 boards a game. Probably 5 of them are going to be offensive, because Randall is going to grab a lot of the defensive, and you know, Josh Hart, when he's in, is going to get a lot of rebounds. So I mean, the most important thing is really the offensive rebounds, giving the Knicks second chances. So yeah, I mean, Clint Capella would be an unbelievable addition to the team. I just don't think it's realistic, but if there's any world where the Knicks can do that, maybe they include Miles McBride for salary purposes. But again, I just can't really get around trading Mitch and Miles McBride unless we're getting a star level player, and Clint Capella is not a star, right? So especially because, you know, a healthy Mitchell Robinson is probably better than Clint Capella, but he's not really ever healthy, so you have to keep that in mind. And in terms of Nick Richards, I mean, I think bringing in Richards and Precious would probably be best for us, because that way we have a lot of depth. We've got Precious who can play the 4, he can play the 5. We've got Richards who started, 51 games last season, played in 67, averaged 10, 8, and a block a game, 69% from the field. He's only 26, and most importantly, he's on a 3-year, $15 million contract, but he's in the second season of that, so he's only making $10 million, which is $5 million per season against the cap, of course. I do think that the Knicks are ultimately going to end up with Precious Achiuwa back. I do think they're going to end up with either a guy like a Nick Richards, or they're going to bring in a veteran in free agency on like a minimum contract. But I'd be fine with that. I don't think the Knicks need Karl-Anthony Towns or anything like that, but they do need a center that isn't Jericho Sims. It's your boy Knicks Daily, guys. I'm signing out. Peace.